jailer is the key. Kill him, and you'll be free.
The boss fight has been a staple of video games since their very beginning. Just hearing the words create flashbacks of sweaty palms and carpal tunnel for some of us. Bosses are typically what we remember most from video games, especially the hard ones. Few things in this world are more satisfying than finally besting that one enemy who's been slapping you around for hours. It's a feeling so rewarding, a whole game was made simply to give us this euphoria in large doses. The Boss Rush game. While Boss Rush can be found as unlockable in a lot of action games, ones specifically designed around their bosses make for challenging and visceral experiences. Games like Shadow of the Colossus, Contra Shattered Soldier, Cuphead, and one of the most underrated games of this generation, Furi. Furi sets itself apart from its peers by combining elements of a variety of action genres to create an incredibly unique experience. It's a twin-stick shooter, bullet hell, and a hack and slash all rolled into one challenging package. And that's just the gameplay. The presentation also adapts a similar philosophy, combining samurai film homages with cyberpunk aesthetics. This mix of gameplay and presentation make for one of the most memorable games for me in recent years. Furi's gameplay looks and sounds like a lot to take in at first, but it's surprisingly simple. You have 4 options at any given moment: shoot, dash, parry, and slash. You can shoot in any direction using the right thumbstick and can hold down the right trigger for a charge shot. Shooting will be both your main attack and main defense, since you are able to clear out most bullets shot at you with your blasts. Dashing helps you get out of those tricky spots. You are invincible while you're in a dash, and you can charge your dash to avoid bigger attacks or make daring escapes. Careful though, charging too far might get you caught by another attack. Your slash is your friend at close range. Attacks with the sword are more powerful than your gun, and may leave your opponent stunned in between strikes. However, it's also your riskiest attack, as a missed strike can leave you open for punishment. Your last option is parry. Parrying is quite difficult at first since the timing window is extremely narrow. However, once you get adjusted, parrying becomes a saving grace, allowing you to restore a bit of health. And a perfect parry leaves your opponent open for a devastating attack. The majority of Furi's boss fights play out in similar fashion. They all have multiple phases consisting of 2 sections. In Section 1, you have full range of movement and the focus is usually on dodging an onslaught of bullets. Section 2 becomes a close-range battle, where you can only use your sword. The emphasis here becomes dodging strikes and parrying in rapid succession. The boss's phase counter and life bar ensure that you are always aware of how close you are to victory. On the normal difficulty, you have 3 phases too, and while you don't transform or gain new attacks, you are able to start the phase over again. Getting past this section restores a block, so you can keep going strong. Memorization is the key to beating these stages. Each boss has unique attack patterns and quirks that make it tricky in some phases. And while we're talking about the bosses, I have to mention the incredible character design by Takashi Okazaki, known for his stellar work on Afro Samurai. Each boss's character shines through in their appearance alone, from the horrific mechanical look of the strap to the angelic appearance of the song. All the boss names being preceded with "the" reminds me of the Cobra unit from Metal Gear Solid 3.
I am the Fury!
The bosses are shaped by the story, which plays out in traditional samurai movie fashion. Our hero, a lone Ronin-looking man known only as the Stranger, is broken out of prison by the Voice, a strange fellow donning a pink bunny mask. He leads the Stranger on a quest to escape his prison, killing the jailers who imprisoned him. The story, as simplistic as it is, has several references to the samurai film, from the one-on-one fight with a master cliché to the cinematography of the cutscenes. Each boss's arena perfectly fits their style, from both a gameplay and a style perspective. I could go on and on about this game's aesthetics for hours, but let me just emphasize one more thing. The music is incredible. It's a compilation of songs from electronic artists including The Toxic Avenger, Carpenter Brut, Danger, and several others. Though many artists collaborated, the overall soundtrack is cohesive, making it truly feel like every track is a piece of a larger whole. The gameplay alone is enough to keep you on edge of your seat, but the soundtrack takes it to a completely new level. Your heart's tempo while playing will match every pulse-pounding beat. The album makes for a great treadmill mix. Get ready to crush your previous best mile. It's not all fast, however. The music can be quite calming as you embark on your journey to each boss fight. These moments serve as a good palate cleanser, allowing you to catch your breath before another 15 minutes of stress. At their best, these walks can be really interesting, with the voice giving you information about your next foe. Take this bit, for example, before the 7th boss, the burst.
I like her. She's a lot like me. She's clever, and she has a plan. On a scale of 1 to 10, she's an 11, and she'd give herself a 12.
Initiating scan. Opponent armed. Graphene composite saber. Automatic laser handgun. Range 200 meters. Capacity maximum.
Remember, for her it's all a game, but losing is not an option.
10 meters. 5 meters. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's break this moment down a bit. What do we know about the burst? First thing, she's a woman. She's clever, meaning that she's probably going to be more strategic than the previous fights. She's described as beautiful, but she knows it, insinuating that she's incredibly confident. The environment shows drones and one Scanju showing that she's careful, resourceful, and a tech expert. Our last bit of info is the line, "For her it's just a game, and losing is not an option," implying that this will not be an easy fight. All of these factors help give each boss character, and that should mean that all of these walking sections are great, right? Well, there are some walking sections that are stretched out really long. These bits remind me of Shadow of the Colossus, where you're making long journeys to find a giant. However, you have full control during those sections, and it's up to you to navigate the vast world. In Furi, all you need to do is press the A button to move, and the stranger will walk on his own. The world building is cool, but sometimes these walks can be a chore. However, once you finish the game, you unlock a speedrun mode to where you can just play the boss fights for a true all-killer, no-filler experience. Replaying the entire game for this review, though, I was just a tad bored watching these long walking sections again. Looking at the achievement list for the Xbox version, a large percent of players fell off somewhere between the 2nd and the 4th boss. Either they were not expecting this level of initial difficulty, or they just couldn't adjust to the walking sections. For me, it was around the 3rd boss when I realized that I love this game, so I imagine it goes the opposite way too. It doesn't take long for you to figure out if this game's for you or not. Furi was developed by a small indie team called The Game Bakers, a French studio who got their name from working above a bakery. Their small catalog of releases include Combo Crew, a beat-em-up for mobile, and Squid's Odyssey, a tactics RPG with cute squids. Oh, he has a little hat, it's so cute! Furi was their first game built from the ground up for PCs and console. Quote, "Our intention was to make something really memorable, and that boss fight games fit better with a gamepad controller. That's why we decided to aim for a console/PC game." The studio's co-founders are Audrey Reprince, the executive lead, and Emmerich Thoa, the creative lead. Before coming together to form their own studio, Audrey and Emmerich worked at Ubisoft. Audrey produced games such as Tom Clancy's End War and Brothers in Arms' Road to Hill 30. Emmerich was the conception manager for Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands and Dawn of Discovery. Between the two of them, they have an eclectic catalog of genres under their belt, which is essential to making a game like Furi, which is a bit of an amalgamation of several gameplay types. It was a pretty big leap for Game Bakers, but Audrey and I have AAA experience, so we're not really in unknown territory, Emmerich told me. According to Emmerich, Furi was inspired by a variety of games, books, and movies. Games with, quote, cool bosses like God Hand, Metal Gear Solid, and No More Heroes, movies like Duelist and Old Boy, and stories like Musashi and Greek mythology. In fact, Emmerich told me that you could consider the game's story to be a reverse version of Theseus and the Minotaur. One word I used to describe Furi was amalgamation, and that is probably the most accurate term there is to describe it. Everything from its gameplay, to its style, to its inspirations come from many different sources. It's when they are all put together in this way that Furi can appear so unique. Furi was planned to be like this from the very beginning of development. Quote, Furi is exceptional because it's really close to its initial vision. Usually there are huge or at least big differences that appear during production, but Furi is incredibly close to what we had planned. To be honest, I think the game ended up being better than what I had planned originally. Furi was released on the PC and PS4 in 2016, where it was one of July's free PS Plus games. It was released for Xbox a year later and for Switch in early 2018. A little over a year after launch, it was revealed that Furi had sold over 3 million copies. A solid number for sure, but that makes it all the more surprising that this game isn't talked about more than it is. These numbers were released before the Switch port, so I'm sure sales have grown quite a bit since then. Furi can be found on sale quite a bit these days, and it's absolutely worth giving it a try. Worst case, you're out a few bucks and can move on, but if you're like me, you'll leave with a sense of accomplishment, a smile on your face, and another game to add to your list of favorites.